It's a very interesting topic that we have, which is on marketing strategies. And oftentimes we have marketing strategies. We call strategies, but I don't know if we can really truly call strategies. So I think that's what we'll learn from you, Mr. Deepak Jolly, today. And so he's going to talk about marketing strategies and why oftentimes marketing strategies do really fail. To share a brief about him, he's a founder of Consocia Advisory. His professional career of 34 years has been dedicated to areas on sales and marketing, corporate affairs, and communications. He's industry leader in policy advocacy, reputation management, amongst others. So over to you, Mr. Deepak.
Okay, very good afternoon. It's always a tough task to have a nice Bengali lunch, then talk about self-actualization after that, which Smriti has given you some wonderful insights, and then come and talk about marketing strategies failure. I mean, boy, this is like something which is, first of all, why marketing fails and why the strategies fail. And that something is best told by a chief storyteller of the companies which I worked for. And I'll just briefly tell you about myself. So this is a little bit brief about myself. I was a chief storyteller at the Coca-Cola company in India for 12 years. I was also the chief storyteller in PepsiCo. And the toughest time when Bharti was fighting Reliance between 2002 and 2005, that was the time both sides were having sleepless nights, not whether it was the CDMA side or it was the side on the GSM side. Having said that, I think what's important is, this is the company which I formed to help companies to relook at their strategies, because reputation is a very, very key component as a part of a marketing strategy. Because at the end, brands fail. So there is always a big issue people have, which is all about brand versus the corporate brand. Coca-Cola company versus the Coca-Cola brand. Unilever versus the Lux. Now, Lux fails, it doesn't have an impact on the Unilever brand. But the Coca-Cola brand fails, the Coca-Cola company price share dips immediately. This is something, one has to be, marketing guys have to think about, that the name of the company and the name of the brand should not be the same. Having said that, I worked in the company which was the Coca-Cola company. Have you heard of any other company in the world? The Coca-Cola company. It is like, so the fact is, that man sold only 9 drinks on day one. He built a franchise model, not knowing that this brand will conquer the world, relive the brand, and will change. And will change on an everyday basis. It might be an old brand, but it's still relevant. And that's what in my 35-year career, I've done. Be relevant. If I'm not relevant, if I don't change from BlackBerry to iPhone, something is wrong with me. So notice what's going to happen. What is going to be the call for change. And that call out has to be yours. But it depends on many factors which happens. And that's the reason I formed a company with my 3 ex-Coke founders. So just to give you a brand insights, Consortia means nothing, but when you look at these lines, straight lines, they mean nothing. But when they are put together, and we as Consortia founders are the source of making the purpose behind this. And that's, C becomes the partner. And that's where Consortia means the partners. So this is our core specialization, but I don't have the time to talk about it. I think what we really are here is why marketing strategies have failed. Let me give you the next one. So this is what I'm going to talk about. So look at the process by which an organization relates creatively, productively, and profitably. Look at the art of creating and satisfying the customers at a profit, or getting the right goods and services to the right people. Well, this may sound bookish, but at the end, we all work for the bottom line of the company. Bottom line dictates us. And when the bottom line is not there, all the top lines which every company is trying to make becomes meaningless. Let's look at the e-commerce phenomenon right now. Right now, we call, we're at a NASSCOM summit, so we definitely would like to touch upon what is the burnout rate, what is the cash burn. We talk this so impactfully and effectively all the time. But the fact which is there is that we are creating a value for tomorrow. All the people who are in the strategy teams are looking at how many customer base we will have. How many people in this world of 7 billion population will become my customers? And Rajan Anandan, who was our first speaker this morning, has a favorite line of 500 million internet users. The fact is, and I was telling Rajan in a briefing just now, I said, look, I've got this Google Home, which is just like Alexa. And every morning it calls me, good morning, Deepak, wake up time. So it's an interactive. The fact is, before somebody else comes and launches it, Google did it. Alexa did it first, but the point is, Google has come back. And that's the speed, that's the success at which people have to launch and make sure the route to market, you are there first. Many times marketers say, oh, the second one was the one who was more successful. But I say that the first one who created the market and stays there is the one who really, really people respect. And that is something which I worked in Airtel, and I said, I reported to Sunil Mittal between 2002 and 2005. And one thing which we were talking about on going to different states in India, and we were going to states like, Kashmir, Bihar. No private entrepreneur had gone there. And I said, if we don't define it, nobody else will define it. And our finance team was saying, Deepak, recovery won't be there. But you have to be risk averse. You have to take a call. It is a management call that you had to launch Airtel in those areas first. And I still remember that we had a very tough press conference in Srinagar, in which I didn't know, could we be attacked at that point of view? There was so many people inside. But we took a risk. We went, we talked, we became friendly. We went to the Airtel booth next day. We saw thousands of people standing in a line to get their first SIM card. And that's about being risk averse. And that is something I wanted to talk about. The next point I just wanted to also mention, this is 4 Ps and 7 Ps are a passe, which has been learned in management schools. But what is critical, which I learned at Cook, was BPPC, brand, pack, price, channel, occasion. If your brand is not right, your pack is not right, your pricing is not right, if your channel is not right, you launch it in a wrong channel, you had it. So you have to correct these 4. Why we talked about occasion is because most of the brands use occasions to launch their products. Okay, films I said because I had Salman Khan in mind. He uses occasion of Eid to launch his films because he feels that that is the occasion his film will be a super hit. So I was talking to National Restaurant Association President Rahul Singh, and we were discovering why is the footfall of all the restaurants gone down? Take a guess. What has happened? And if the National Restaurant Association is worried, they were worried about Zomato and Swiggy going up to 35 million orders. The fact is that people right now are not going out that often into the restaurant space and are eating at home and ordering through these so many other apps. And what are they watching? Are they watching our TV programs? No. We did another study. They were doing Netflix. So these are insights which you constantly keep on prodding. And at the moment, and that's why even the best restaurant launched at this time would fail. Because, so you have to understand, you have to cross the barrier of this particular thing, which is happening, a phenomenon which is happening right now. Now, let me take a look at the next one, which is, I take the pleasure of launching BlackBerry with Airtel first time in India. I organized the launch when I was there in 2003, and the BlackBerry company and everybody. How many of you have used the BlackBerry in those days? Wow. So this is a generation which is like most of the generations come after the BlackBerry. And that, let me tell you, if somebody had a BlackBerry at that time, wow, this is a push mail. And so that everybody had that, I get the mail like this. Earlier, it was not there. But it disappeared. Look at Xerox. It became irrelevant. Because there were so many things happening. Kodak, it just became irrelevant. Dalda, I was in Unilever. And Dalda was launched as the first Vanaspati of India as an alternate to pure desi ghee in 1948. But it became irrelevant. Why? Because Vanaspati became a way of life and it became a commodity. So how do you prevent a brand from becoming commoditized? Why will that strategy fail, and how should have Dalda stayed out of that and continue to innovate and be relevant? That could be the questions. So let me also give you another aspect. What happened to these brands, old brands, including the Coca-Cola brand, were Cirque du Soleil. In Delhi, next to the airport, there's a big tent of Cirque du Soleil. This gentleman decided to innovate and make things relevant to the people, change. And that is something which really helped them. iPhone thought much ahead of the time. It came with iPad. It came with the iPod, iPad, iPhone. And if iPhone 10X, they don't innovate, anybody from Apple here listening, they will meet the same fate. So what is it that iPhone keeps doing time and again? It's the consumer insights, which are important. Otherwise, marketing strategies will fail. The reason why people will not excuse them, it's the 5 reasons: pack, price, brand, channel, and that's continuous basis which will be there. Again, Lego, wow, what a case study. 2004, this company was losing $1 million a day. And then they said they want to be talking to the kids. And how it innovated. Anybody has used Lego toys for the kids? I'm quite sure, yeah. So some number. But look at the success of Lego, how it came back, how it swung back. So there were strategies deployed by Lego, thinking on ahead of its time, innovating, and using the data research. Each researcher stepped away and made her or his decision about the most important patterns. They brought a whole lifetime to critical training to pattern recognition process, but also brought themselves. They melded the art of science by using their own perspectives to discern experiences of children. I think this is a very interesting case study. Again, let's look at the other brands, Google or Apple. So what I feel is, I think when you come and see what is important in all these case studies is, so what we find is clarity of strategy, focus on structure. Clarity is a sure source of strength. In order to be coherent, efficient, and meet consumer expectations, top performing brands lean on ambitious vision. Now, look at today's savvy brands from tapping into their consumers. 3M, known for everything from Scotch tape to circuits, asked its employees, as well as 15,000 customers in 15 countries, to help define its new brand platform. And guess what they said? 3M science applied to life was co-created as a result of the employee co-creation. And that's the way to go, because employees will tell you the next 20-year vision, the next 15 years vision. And my former company, Unilever, my ex-colleague, Nitin Paranjpai, he took out the management team and almost spent a week with them writing the sustainability report. Why? Because they wanted to create a sustainable future for tomorrow, because they knew that whatever happens, there are so many things which will impact the sustainability of the planet or the climate change issue. And look at the way the leader of Unilever is thinking ahead in this regard. So there was some connection there. Relentless customer centricity, that is something very important. As brands gain focus, that focus is ever more zeroed in on the customer. Perennial top brands like Apple, Facebook, and Amazon, customer centricity has been built in their DNA. Yes, sometimes they tend to be a little elusive, but they come back on track. They're fast to come back on track. Personalization. While technology paves the way for innovation, progressive brands, and all industries must be harnessing its power to create unprecedented personal experiences. So this Google Home for me is always relating to me. I also asked him a simple question. So my team, while they were putting the address on Google Maps, the road in front of my office was not named. So they asked the Google team, can we name it the Deepak Jolly Road? So guess what? Go to Google Maps and you will find a Deepak Jolly Road. So I asked Google Home, where is Deepak Jolly Road? Boom, 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 boom. I said, wow, this personal experience was something which I related with Google Home. And I'm telling you my personal experiences because this is something which the brands are bringing that joy. Use centricity as a part of the DNA. Again, Adobe, Facebook, Apple, are brands which have evolved around their users. Deep understanding of how people live, work, and interact, I gave you my example, is embedded in their products, services, and brand message. With user centricity at core, these brands have been able to grow their audiences quickly and iterate their offerings based on evolving demands. They have oftenly focused on remaining real and relevant, which I told you earlier. And then the last part is about creating holistic brand experiences, which again, I told you about the Google Home again, that they consistently being at the top of the value chain are those creating experiences that reinforce the brand as multiple contexts and touch points. So, no marketing strategy at all, having no clear strategy at all, or at least none that is clear, concise, looks to be short and mid-term organizational goal. You have to have a long-term strategy. I know hundreds of Hindustan Lever guys in 1948 decided to, make puris in the hydrogenated vegetable oil, dalda, because they wanted the population of India to move away from pure desi ghee to a hydrogenated vegetable oil. All that remained contextual till the time dalda became massified and commoditized. What should have been done at that time? Again, similar strategy as that of competition or batting it to the red ocean without being able to look at the blue ocean, uncharted and new marketing strategies. I can talk about it and go on, but I think what is important is losing sight of the basics: segmentation, planning, engagement, execution, and support. And these are the critical parts of what is a fundamental of my last slide, which I was talking about. The fundamental remain true, and this is about the MSP. And I won't have time for questions because I see I've taken all the time, but it was what I felt when I was walking to the stage was that two stories which were there, half glass empty and half glass full. I've used so effectively in my storytelling whenever I've come to the stage. And I always am of a believer of half glass full, because I think every challenge makes you real. Every time you fall, every time you fail, you should celebrate. And thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you. Questions?
Any questions, quick questions? We have time for one question. Anyone for a question? Please.
Yes.
Deepak sir, you mostly talk about the big brands. People like me who are struggling with startups. I come from Santiniketan. I have a handicrafts e-commerce. Beside my day job, I try to do something for the backward artist back there in my hometown. So when I'm trying to take my brand to the larger audiences, and if I'm trying to follow because I'm a student of Symbiosis, I did my major from marketing communication. When I'm trying to follow Philip Kotler's and all, I'm finding out that it is burning my cash. If I really need to measure my quality analytics, I have to be on social side. So the MSPs that you talk about, the customization or hyper-personal communication, Deepak sir, you talk about, it takes a lot of money, but we really do not have unless some VCs are funding us. It's like our cash flows only. How do we manage there?
So, look, at the end, there are so many case studies of success of Indian small-scale sector which have done so well outside. I mean, I'll give you an example of a friend of mine, like your case, very small-scale sector, started with just about 5-7 crores. Today, he owns two factories in Germany, because those two factories are making wipers, wipers for the cars, because there is something in the wipers which cannot be made in other parts of the world.
Interesting.
How he bought those factories, I mean, I sat with him and it gave me goosebumps, because the fact is, he started with 48 product categories of export for auto components. He's a chartered accountant. He was running a magazine for his father, and one fine day I introduced him to somebody who was, exporting auto components. So he crossed that with being an ability to transcend boundaries, able to connect with people, and he was a chartered accountant. He was able to save a lot of money while he was shipping the products, and it gave the real value. So he would pack the products in his godown, which were made elsewhere, give the quality seal himself, rather than doing the whole chain. So sometimes you have to be smart to be at that end of the edge, and that your quality seal will sell, then you can get the third parties to produce that product. And then in how he went, but that is because of the timing, I would not be able to tell the whole story. When this topic was given to me, so I told NASSCOM and Speakers Bureau that, oh guys, wait a minute. This subject is very dear to me. I can talk for 365 days, 24/7, and still fall short of time. But Having said that, I would be happy to answer during tea time and coffee time on how Fab India was built, how many other brands were built, and talk all about the smaller brands, which I'm working with. I work with 20 companies now. I'm supporting 20 brands on going global.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was really very insightful, especially what you talked about the user centricity and keeping at the center of your strategy is absolutely important. Thanks for sharing, and especially the holistic approach that you will be taking to be able to create that holistic brand experience. Thank you very much, Deepak ji. We have a moment of thanks for you.
Thank you.
May I call Sandeep, please? Sandeep, please come over and do the honor.
Thank you. Wow, that's a
Really appreciate
no.
time and effort.
Thank you. North Bengal. Wow. Thank you. Always a pleasure to come to the city of joy.
Thank you.